Since 2014, Minnesota has had a petition-based system for people with low-level criminal convictions to have their records expunged. The Minnesota Clean Slate Act of 2023 will automate the expungement process beginning in January 1st, 2025. Joining me in the studio is the Senate's chief author of the new law, Senator Bobby Joe Champion. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's always so great to see you.
It's great to see you, too. You have played a key role in legislation that may help people rebuild their lives. For example, Ban the Box, which prevents employers from asking about a job candidate's criminal history. Restore the Vote, which allows for the restoration of voting rights upon completion of incarceration. And the Clean Slate Act of 2023. Why are efforts like these important to you?
Well, number one, in addition to that list that you just articulated, I'm also the chief author of the current expungement law. So I made sure that there was timelines in that law based on the offense, and a person would have to have some distance from when they finished probation up to when they were asking for relief. Well, why? Is because we live in a state that believes in second chances, that we believe in the possibility of people moving forward with their lives. So each of those bills and what I call important public policies is all in the belief that you deserve a second chance, and you should be judged on your skills and qualifications and not necessarily the past infraction that you have now paid your debt around, and that now you need to move forward because we want you to be a positive, contributing member of our society.
Jonathan Weinhagen of the Minneapolis Regional Chamber of Commerce backed the bill and said at a recent press conference that this is a jobs bill. He kept saying it, jobs, jobs, jobs.
Yeah. How
does expungement help the labor force? Because we do have a tight labor force.
Because we don't want anything that impedes a person from moving into the job market, right, and really being a contributing member to our labor force. We know that we have a great tsunami. We have to backfill those employment opportunities. So we need to get people who have the skills but are on the sideline, right? And so how do we get them back in? So it is a jobs bill. We want nothing to interfere with a person's ability to work and have their own dignity and humanity, make sure that they're making a livable wage for their families. And so it is a jobs bill. And we want Minnesota companies to have the greatest labor force so that we're able to continue to compete, not just with Iowa and Wisconsin, but globally. And so I believe that this is a jobs bill, and I think he's right.
The current system allows people to petition for an expungement, and actually not many do. There were some statistics about that. It's, I think, 5% or something. Why is it that so many people go through the petition process?
Well, they go through the petition process because that's the only avenue that we have right now. And when you think in terms of the petition process, it means you have to either yourself or pay someone to draft the petition. You have to now pay a filing fee. And if you have an infraction or even something you want expunged in, let's say, Ramsey and Dakota County, you have to do the same thing in those individual counties. You can't merge them together because guess what? Whoever is going to grant the relief or listen to the case must have jurisdiction. So you have people who just can't afford it. The average cost for a filing fee is somewhere around $382. And that's outside of everything else that you have to do in order to demonstrate that you deserve and should be granted the relief that you are requesting. So that's why you have a number of people who don't, because some don't know how to go through the process. They get frustrated about it, but also cost.
What kinds of crimes are eligible for expungement, and perhaps more importantly, what crimes are not?
So crimes that are eligible, for an example, for clean slate, are those low-level offenses, misdemeanors, gross misdemeanors, not felonies, or not what I would call serious felonies. Those things are not eligible. Also, what is not well, those are eligible, felonies are not, but those other notions that are not eligible would be what we call enhanceable offenses. Enhanceable offenses start off as a misdemeanor, and if you created, if you got into the same circumstance again and didn't do anything worse, or anything less, then instead of it being a misdemeanor, the next time it's a gross misdemeanor, and it goes up from there. So those offenses are not. DWIs would fall in that category, or domestic abuse cases would fall in that category. So it's an opportunity for those offenses where you either been exonerated or low level, or there's quite some distance between when that infraction happened up till now. Those are the type of cases that would be eligible, or matters that would be eligible.
Attorney General Keith Ellison pointed out that expungement does not mean that law enforcement loses access to those records, but it does seal the records then, so that people can get the housing or the educational opportunities or the employment opportunities that they are seeking. Why is this important?
You know, that was even important with our current expungement law. That doesn't change, because one of the things that we wanted to make sure of, and how we also got support from law enforcement and from county attorneys, is their ability to still see the record in the event that someone comes back into court, you know, because that's a part of the sentencing guidelines, whether someone has a criminal history or criminal history points. And we think it's important for those folks to still be able to see it, because if a person is law-abiding, we're not worried about them seeing it because there's nothing else to see. But if someone was to do something that they're not proud of, law enforcement have the ability to see it. Now, we don't want the public to see it if there's nothing there, because we don't want anything, again, to impede a person's ability to go forward. There are collateral consequences when you have something on your record. You mentioned those things, like not able to even get a grant to go to school, or to get an apartment because of something that was on your record. And that could have happened 20 years ago. But still, one's ability to see it creates in people's mind the probability or the possibility that they can't get the relief that they're looking for to move forward with their life.
Free expungement clinics will be offered around the state over the next year to help people who don't want to wait for automatic expungement. At the press conference, two individuals who have already or soon will have their records wiped clean offered their perspectives, and both mentioned fear, shame, and discomfort that they felt in facing their past choices. Even though the eventual result will be a clean slate, what do you say to those people who can identify with that sense of trepidation?
You know, thank you for that question, because those individuals were known as justice impacted individuals, and they talked about how there's shame, you know, for others to know or to talk about something that didn't put them in the best light. What I would say to them is that sometimes certain things have to be exposed in order for it to get better. And if you want the outcome that we believe that you should have and deserve, and that would put you in the best position to move forward, then you have to come out. You have to ask for help. And we are here as people who support you. We're not here to shame you or to say, oh, what a bad person you are. No. None of us have been perfect individuals. Some of us just, you know, that little infraction or whatever we did not come to light and wasn't exposed. And so there's no judgment. We want you to come out because we want you to get through this process. I said earlier that sometimes fear creates paralysis. And we don't want you to be stuck in that place or space where you are, but we want you to move forward, show that mobility.
Finally, that said, people who aren't interested in the free clinic or a petition-based process, come 2025, will have any qualifying criminal history removed from the public record. So for those people, whether they even know it or not, the sky may be the limit.
You know, that's true. One of the things that we put in here is clean slate and automatic expungements for those offenses that can be determined and ascertained, because the BCA is going to look at the records and comb through those records between now and 2025, right? So we are moving forward in order to make sure we can identify those records, and they would get this benefit. So even if they know about it immediately or not, they're going to get this benefit. Others who want to get the benefit and whose record may not be automatically determined to qualify can still go through the process of the petition process and notify us, and so that comes to attention. At the end of the day, we want Minnesotans to be able to go forward with their lives, be the contributing members to our society that they want to be and we want them to be. We know that when individuals are involved in pro-social activities, recidivism and other things go down, and they feel a part of our human family. So thank you so very much.
Senator, no, I'm going to thank you. Senator Bobby Joe Champion, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it.